Hello, and welcome to your Lab 8 demo video. That's crazy, we're on Lab 8 already. There's only 10 labs, but there's also 2 assignments. So this week we're going to look at creating a new web page called about.html that meets a bunch of things. We're going to insert an image, we're going to insert your schedule, your timetable, using a table, and I should mention that if you didn't already watch the lecture video, you should go back and watch that before beginning the lab. So, first things first, it says creating a new page. We're going to create a new page called about.html that meets the following criteria. Refer to your previous lab instructions if needed. So I gave you a bunch of things to do, but I didn't give you the code to do them. So you got to go back and look at your stuff from before. So let's create a new file. Whoops, right there. We're going to call this about.html. We're going to use the doc type. All right, insert the doc type declaration, right? And let's just steal a bunch of stuff. You can do this, right? Because you created this stuff. So we're going to steal basically all of this stuff. This is the easy way to do this. Copy, paste. Now you may be thinking copy paste sounds like cheating. Well, it's not, because you wrote this code, right? If you're doing this from the internet or from somebody else's submission, then it totally is. But if you wrote the code, then you can copy paste your own code. Anything you write is fair game. So there's our navigation, everything kind of there. It's not perfect, but it's there. So we're going to set the title, right, to About Me. This stuff is actually all totally fine. That's also fine. Was it indented like that? Yeah, I guess it was. I would probably fix that in both. That looks kind of funny. So we need to move this around a bit. We want our active class on the about tag, the about link, and we want our this to be a link to take us back to our index page, lab 5. So we can just copy that, stick it down there, cut this. Sorry, I said copy and I meant cut. Stick it up there. Call this index.html, and suddenly, oh, look at that, we got our website's becoming a website. Now you see why we did the navigation bar the way we did. Everything works. So now we're going to insert a heading, we're going to insert an image, we're going to do a bunch of useful stuff. First up, our heading. So H1, we're going to say about me. Whoops, it helps if I'm on the page so I can preview this kind of as it's going on. We're going to insert an image. So to do this, you're going to need to download it first, right? Before I start showing the code, I already downloaded it, but I'm going to show you what I did. And we're going to have to put it somewhere appropriate. So I copied a file, it's just my name.jpg. That's me on my wedding day. We're going to copy that. You could cut it, whatever, up to you. And I'm going to stick it in our repo folder here. I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm going to call it images. So it has to be as a subfolder. I'm going to paste it right there, or it's not going to work. It's just straight up not going to work. Now, we can see that new subfolder's there, and our image is there, right? Because we just copy pasted it, we stuck it in that folder that's being tracked by Git. When we push our changes to GitHub, it's going to upload all that stuff. Isn't that great? You don't have to deal with with any other way of uploading that. It's just going to stick it into GitHub using Git. We're going to pull it into the server, and it's just done. It's the easiest way to do it. So, image source equals images slash, and look at that. It even auto-completes the tag for you. Done. That's it. The image is in there. We're going to there's our image. That's all well and done. We're not going to do anything with the alt parameter because we're going to add that in assignment 1, but we're going to put a paragraph in here. It says write a paragraph about yourself, an introduction paragraph, and implement an ordered or unordered list of your choice describing your interests. These could be activities, games, TV shows, or movies you watch, etc. So I'm not going to do like a full thing here, but you should. I'm going to show you how to do it though, right? My name is... Whoops. Oh, word wrap's not on. Let's fix that. And I probably want something better like that, right? I teach Linux, introduction to web design, Cisco, and that's pretty much it, right? I'm just not going crazy in depth here. I listen to heavy metal. Some of my favorite bands are... There we go. So now we're going to do our list. Could be an unordered list. It could be an ordered list. It's totally up to you, right? I'm going to do an unordered list because it's not in any particular order. Whoops. I like metal. I like a lot of metal bands. Some of these you might know, others, well, maybe not. There's our image and our list and our paragraph done. Now we're going to do our table. I'm not going to do the whole table. I'll do some of the table. So we're going to insert our table, right, using the table tag. And we're going to do our first table row. Whoops. That's the only downside about autocomplete. Sometimes it autocompletes errors. So now we need our headings in our table. The first one's actually going to be left blank because that's going to be our time. And the nice thing about having the preview up is you can see it populating the stuff as we're doing this. I like that a lot. The more I use that, the more I like just leaving that open. New row. So here's how this is going to work. We've got a cell here, right? We've got a row here. You can't see it, but it's there. We're going to insert the times for the different classes using the TD tag. So this is going to be 0830 to 1020, 1030. This is the Centennial class times, right? To 1220. Oh, no. Hold on. That's our next row. Get rid of that. I made the common mistake that people tend to make because I wasn't thinking. So this first cell that was blank here, that's going to be our time, right? Now you're going to go sequentially through, and if you've got a class in that time, you're going to put it in. If you don't, you're going to leave it blank. So let's say, for argument's sake, I do have one on Monday, right? At 8:30. I'm going to say it's this course. I'm going to say it's section 001. I'm totally making this up. Now let's say Tuesday I'm off at that time, so I don't have a class. Maybe Wednesday I do. Maybe it's CNET 124 section 003 or something, right? And I'm actually just going to straight up do Thursday and Friday as well, because I can. There you go. So if you have a class, you include it. If you don't, you put an empty cell. Finish our row, we do a new row. So this row is going to be 10:30 to 12:20. And again, if we don't have a class, we don't put anything. If we do have a class, we put something. I'm making something up again. This is not my timetable. So that's Tuesday I have something. Let's say Wednesday I do as well. But maybe Thursday and Friday I don't, because, hey, I got a long weekend. I wish. So there's two, and let's resize this so you can see a little bit better. Look at that. It works. So you should go in and finish the remaining items. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go down to the next thing. So let's pretend my schedule is done. My table's closed. What's the next thing we're doing? We're going to insert a break tag right here. Just to push that down a little bit. And then we're going to go over to our style.css. And I'm going to say this is Lab 8, just so I know for later when I'm looking at this. We're going to add a selector for our image tag. We're going to set the width to 25%. So notice I didn't use the max width there. I'm actually just resizing it. And the height to auto. AUTO. So that'll resize it and keep the aspect ratio, which is kind of a nice thing. And we're going to float it to the left. Oh, look at that. Look at that. We got our paragraph right beside. Now, there's a few ugly things here, right? Some of the text is on top of the image. But it's there. It's there. We're going to fix that in a little bit. Let's do something with our table. So first thing we're going to do for our table heading and our table data cells, we're going to add a border. 0.25 EM, solid, and I'm going to do black. There we go. And that's actually kind of a thick border. Maybe I want 0.15. There we go. That resized a bit better. That's not bad. I gave you a list of a bunch of things you can do. It's up to you to play around with them, and feel free to play around with the border radius parameter too. This gives the appearance of a slightly rounded corner, right? The corners will all be slightly rounded. See the difference? Looks kind of nice. That one I actually did. So some finishing touches. Some slight finishing touches. We're going to go back to our HTML for a second. We're going to fix this because it doesn't look great like that, right? So we're going to add an ID to our paragraph. Not in this one, in about.html. There we go. So remember, use classes when you're going to use it more than once. For an ID, you only use it once, right? So ID About. Now we can select this specific paragraph and apply some style to it separately. So back over here, we're going to do our paragraph with our ID of about. We're just going to set the margin left. Let's try 5 EM and see what it looks like. And that did nothing. 25 EM, that pushed it way over, right? 15, that's too much. 105 is way too much. Let's try 10, 12, 11, 10.5. Let's go with 11.5 maybe. Hey, that's actually looking kind of good. And actually, let's set a margin here too. So margin right. Let's try 2 EM. There we go. That pushed everything over a bit. That's looking not bad. Yeah. So let's center the table. I'm going to do this here. We're going to set the left and right margin to auto. Look at that, our table's centered. Now we can clean up the formatting a bit. We can add to our TH and TD. We can add some padding. 0.5 EM. So padding is the space in between the inside edge and the contents. Margin is outside, right? Everything has an imaginary box around it. So that made it look just a little bit nicer, didn't it? We're basically done. We're done our page anyway. That didn't take too long. Now we're going to import it into GitHub. And then import it into or push it to GitHub and import it into our server. So first things first, let's push our stuff to GitHub. We got 3 pending changes now. We're going to stage them because we have 3 changes. And we're going to call this Lab 8 initial commit. That's our commit message. Oh, I've got unsaved changes. See, it wouldn't let me save it. It wouldn't let me save it. That's kind of handy, right? Oh, it was about.html, had unsaved changes. There we go, now it should work. What is going on? I just messed everything up. About.html has changes. Let's go look. Second attempt at initial commit for Lab 8. I don't know, let's see if it works. So let's push those. Oh, what is going on here? Third attempt at initial commit for Lab 8. See, it doesn't matter how good you are with stuff. Sometimes you make mistakes. And there, finally we got all our changes. I must have not saved something somewhere. Our code's pushed to our repo. That's awesome. Now we need to pull it into our server in AWS. There we go. So I've logged into the Learner Lab. I've just finished starting it, so everything's spun up properly. My instance should be already running. Let's go look in EC2. There it is. I'm going to SSH to it from the command line. So I'm actually just going to use the instance connect this time. Right? You can use either. Get comfortable with both. I'm going to use the command line this time, or the EC2 instance connect instead of the command line, because then I don't have to copy paste stuff back and forth. So there we go. We're going to change to our labs 6 to 10 assignment 1 folder. We're going to issue a git pull. Type our password, which I think I just messed up. There we go. I got it right eventually. See, we got a bunch of changes. Everything's good to go. And then we're going to recursively copy everything. So cp-r everything to var www.html. Whoops, sudo. There we go. We could confirm. Sudo ls, and we see everything's there, including our images folder. So let's go see if our page works. Go to our instance. Let's open the URL, which we're going to fix this next week, so you actually have a URL, a proper URL to type in here. And not only just a domain name, right? With HTTPS. So give that a minute. There we go. I don't know why it was taking that long to populate the field. Remember, you got to get rid of that HTTPS. There you go. There's our index page. Oh, look, there's our web page on our server. Isn't that great? That's pretty great. It may not be the best, but it's there. Feel free to play around with the CSS. Make it look a little bit better. You could do maybe like rounded corners on the image to make it look kind of like older. You could do something with this this background. Play around with it. That's the best way you learn CSS. Like, this is the bare minimum you need to do, but try for more than the bare minimum. So, for the submission, it's already in GitHub. You're good to go there. I'm going to be able to access it, assuming you're registered in the class. And you're going to take a screenshot of this and submit it to the appropriate Dropbox in eCentennial. And I'm going to mark it. Also, this should validate using the W3 Schools validator. The CSS should also validate. I'm going to copy paste that. I haven't done this in a while. Let's make sure. Hopefully it does. If it doesn't, fix anything that doesn't work. It says it must have an alt attribute, right? Don't worry about that one. Ignore that error. We're going to do that. And the HTML should have a lang parameter. Ignore that one too. Those are two things you can do next week in your assignment 1 that would meet the bare minimum requirements. Isn't that kind of cool? So, yeah, it's good enough. So there's our webpage. Hopefully we learned some awesome stuff this week. I think we learned some awesome stuff. Take care. Be safe. Have a great week. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.